common ones we get all the time, right? Which is around anxiety. My child is very anxious, and I'm very worried about her going into a big secondary school. Okay, so the anxious child. I could jump in with you first, Niamh, if that's okay. What do you
Yeah.
think? Is schools very different now to what they were 20 years ago,
Oh,
25?
absolutely. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. Hi everybody. How are you? So what I would say is that, I think anxiety around going to a new school, and especially the transition from primary school to secondary school, is totally understandable. It's a major transition, and I think we all appreciate that. And if we remember back to our own days, we can even remember how difficult it was going from primary school, that cozy, safe one classroom where you knew everybody in the room, and suddenly you're in this big building surrounded by older students and a bunch of teachers, and you have to try to, orientate yourself. But what I will say is, I'm chaplain in a school now for about 15 years, and I would meet with first years throughout the year, and they are all nervous when they start. So it's not unique. So the first thing you can do is, you can reassure your child that it is perfectly normal to feel anxious. So reassurance is the key. What I would say is, the teachers are dealing with new faces every year. We just, it's just this big cycle. We're welcoming in this whole new batch of students. We want them to do well. Everyone is willing them on and willing them to be comfortable and become part of the fabric of the school. And it's amazing how quickly that actually does happen. So if your child is particularly anxious, I would say, and Gina will talk a bit more about this, but I would say get them to name their anxieties, name what it is, talk through the different scenarios. And, suddenly these huge problems in your head aren't as difficult as they seemed before you talk about them. I think if your child has extreme anxieties, it is, I'm sure, possible, and I know it certainly is possible in our school, to get in touch with the school and have a tour of it beforehand, before the date for going back to school happens. And that can sometimes put a student at ease. And just to know that, like, when they get in there, they're all in the same boat. They'll have a journal with a map of the place. Like, we're constantly spending that first few weeks directing people to their classrooms and all of that sort of thing. So try not to be too anxious. And the thing is, sometimes as a parent, we're more anxious than our children. And it's because, we have that protective streak. And it's just to, I suppose, to get that into perspective and not to try to put our anxieties on our child. Make it exciting. This is the big new chapter, and isn't it brilliant?
Thanks for that, Niamh. Gina, could you pick up on that a tiny bit more for somebody who's like, really?
I think Niamh, you can see, is very reassuring. And as parents, we often need to put our stresses and worries down, because we tend to go a month ahead. We tend to go years ahead. Well, what if, and if only, and oh. And often your teenager is looking at you going, whoa, you're looking worried, so I'm definitely going to worry. And we know that young people settle down. We know they're very adaptable. You may have that wonderful, finely attuned, beautifully sensitive adolescent at home. Try not to think of them as anxious. Think of them, oh my goodness, think of what they're going to do when they get older, with this beautiful sensitivity. Because we view it as a problem, and the kid that's not putting their hand up or not saying anything. So I look to that young person as, oh, you're a great observer. Imagine all you're going to take in. And then you say to yourself as a parent, okay, what is it I'm worrying about? Is this mine or is it theirs? And you try and reel it in so much more. And I say, we have to deal with and we have to feel with problems. And when we do both those things, we manage to process the very useful tips like Niamh said. Okay, is there someone we can talk to? Is there a way I can check in? Or is there something we can do this evening, like putting down the homework and going for a walk? You did brilliant. And I'm all for rewards, not punishment, and not telling them they have to do this and they have to do that. They will do it. And a lot of this journey for the whole of secondary school is about dealing and managing changes and building trust. And that's the most important, that your adolescent sees you trusting them, and then in turn trusting the system that they're going into.